Thanksgiving morning has always been sacred in our house. It was the one day of the year when Ryan and I worked in perfect sync, brining the turkey, prepping the sides, and making sure the house felt warm and inviting. But this year felt different. Jarringly so. A heavy silence hung between us, the usual morning rhythm disrupted by an unexplained anxiety. Ryan's fingers tapped nervously against his phone screen, his eyes darting between the device and me with a restlessness that set my nerves on edge. Something was wrong. I could feel it in the way his shoulders were pulled tight, and in the way he avoided direct eye contact. "I'm stepping out for a bit," he said suddenly. His hand was already reaching for the keys hanging on the counter. I froze, my hands buried deep in a bowl of stuffing mix, bread crumbs clinging to my fingers. "Stepping out? Now?" He just nodded. "Ryan, we have 100 things to do. The turkey needs to be prepped, the table needs setting, my mother will be here in." "I won't be long," he interrupted, his words clipped. He leaned in and pressed a quick kiss to my cheek. "Promise." And just like that, he was gone. The door clicked shut with a finality that sent a chill down my spine. I stared after him, a sudden pang of irritation and anxiety bubbling inside me. Ryan had always been the most reliable person I knew. Dependable to a fault. This wasn't like him. Not at all. My mind raced through possibilities. Could it be a work emergency? A family issue? But something deeper nagged at me, an intuition that whispered this was more than a simple errand. I tried to focus on the stuffing. But my hands shook slightly as I mixed the ingredients, and my thoughts kept circling back to Ryan's strange behavior. Minutes turned into an hour. Then 2. And with each passing moment, the knot of worry in my stomach grew tighter. Something was very, very wrong. By noon, the house was a chaotic symphony of family drama and culinary stress. Relatives packed every corner of our home. The oven timer shrieked every 5 minutes like a desperate alarm, each beep drilling into my already frayed nerves. And Ryan? Still gone. Vanished. His phone became a black hole of silence, sending every call directly to voicemail. My mother-in-law materialized beside me just as I was wrestling with a tray of rolls, my hands trembling enough to make the ceramic rattle dangerously close to the floor. Her perfectly manicured eyebrow arched, that signature look that had always made my skin crawl. "Where's Ryan?" she asked, her voice dripping with a practiced blend of concern and judgment. "Out." Her lips pursed. "Out? On Thanksgiving?" I manufactured a smile so fake it felt like my face might crack. "I'll check on him." I called him again, but his phone was switched off. Strange. Ryan had never done this before. Where could he have gone, especially on Thanksgiving, when he was supposed to be here with family? 1,000 thoughts haunted me as I kept picturing him, leisurely sipping coffee somewhere, completely unbothered by the hurricane of preparation and expectation I was navigating alone. The family. The meal. The endless expectations. My hands clenched and unclenched, suspicion building like a pressure cooker about to explode. I couldn't take it anymore. Grabbing my coat, I muttered something vague about an errand. No one would question me. They were too absorbed in their conversations and their own little dramas. As I walked out, the door closing behind me felt like a declaration of war. Against what, I wasn't entirely sure. But something had to give. And I was going to find out exactly what was going on. I drove around town, my knuckles white against the steering wheel, checking his usual spots with increasing desperation. The coffee shop where he often grabbed his morning brew? Empty, the chairs neatly stacked, and no trace of Ryan. The hardware store where he would spend hours lost in weekend project fantasies? Closed tight, the parking lot a desolate landscape. By the time I swung by the park, our park, where we'd first met years ago, my anger had started to dissolve, replaced by a creeping sense of fear. The same park bench where Ryan had proposed now seemed to mock me like a silent witness to my growing panic. What if something had happened to him? An accident? A sudden emergency? Oh my God. My imagination spiraled, conjuring increasingly wild scenarios. A medical crisis? A mysterious work emergency? An unexpected situation? Each possibility felt more terrifying than the last. I pulled into a random parking lot, the world around me blurring into a haze of uncertainty. My breath came in short, sharp bursts. The steering wheel felt like my only anchor to reality. And then, my phone buzzed. Ryan's location popped up on my screen, a diner on the absolute outskirts of town. A place I'd never even known existed, tucked away like a secret waiting to be uncovered. Relief crashed through me, it nearly brought tears. He was alive. He was okay. But that relief was instantly tangled with a sharp, burning irritation. What could be so important that he'd disappear on Thanksgiving? What possible reason could justify leaving me alone, drowning in family expectations and meal preparations? I didn't stop to think. Didn't pause to rationalize or calm myself. I threw the car into drive, tires squealing slightly against the asphalt, and headed straight to the diner. Whatever was happening, I was going to get answers. The diner's neon sign flickered weakly against the gray sky. I parked with a sudden, jerky motion, my heart racing faster with each passing second. I stormed inside, ready to unleash the full force of my bottled-up frustration. The diner's warm air enveloped me, thick with the smell of burnt coffee and forgotten dreams. Then I saw him. Ryan was sitting in a corner booth, tucked away from the world's prying eyes. Across from him sat an older man whose entire existence seemed to speak of hardship. His clothes were shabby, his hands calloused, and his eyes seemed like they had seen too much. My husband's favorite coat, the one I'd carefully selected last Christmas, the one he wore on our most precious winter walks, it was draped protectively over the man's shoulders. I froze, my anger suddenly feeling small and insignificant. "Claire." "What are you?" Ryan gasped, noticing me before I could unleash the torrent of questions burning inside me. "What's going on, Ryan? What are you doing here?" The older man shifted uncomfortably, starting to rise from the booth, clearly sensing the tension. His movement was slow and weary. "George, please, stay," Ryan said, placing a gentle hand on his arm, a gesture so tender, so unexpected that it momentarily stunned me. Then he looked at me, his eyes filled with hope and vulnerability. "Claire, I can explain." Ryan's explanation unfolded like a delicate piece of origami, each word carefully placed, and each moment revealing another layer of humanity. He described seeing George rifling through a dumpster behind the grocery store that morning. "I wanted to buy a pack of cigarettes. I thought it would drive you mad if I told you. But just as I was about to enter the store, I saw him. I couldn't just ignore him, darling. Something in his eyes, he looked so cold and hungry. I offered to buy him breakfast, and we just talked for hours." George stared at his hands, fingers tracing invisible lines, as though ashamed to meet my gaze. His silence spoke volumes, a lifetime of stories pressed between calloused palms. "He's had a rough time," Ryan continued, his voice soft with empathy. "Lost his job years ago during an economic downturn. Then his wife got sick. Medical bills consumed everything. His children stopped calling. He's been alone ever since." I swallowed hard, my anger dissolving into something far more complex. Shame, compassion, and a sudden, overwhelming love for this man I married and thought I knew completely engulfed me. "And your phone?" "It died," he admitted, giving me a sheepish look. "I didn't realize until hours later. I plugged it in to charge and saw your missed calls. I was going to call, but I couldn't just leave him here, Claire. Not today. Not on Thanksgiving." "How did you find me?" he asked. "Your location popped up on my phone." "Oh, that. I must have turned it on by mistake while swiping through the phone to turn off my mobile data." The weight of his words hit me like a punch to the gut. Here I was, consumed by cranberry sauce recipes and perfectly pressed tablecloths, while Ryan had been practicing true compassion and humanity. I realized how small my world had become, and how narrow my vision was. I turned to George, my heart expanding with a sudden, unexpected warmth. "Would you like to come to our house for dinner?" His eyes, tired, surprised, and hopeful, widened. "Ma'am, that's too much. I don't want to be a burden." "You wouldn't be," I said firmly, meaning every word. "We'd love to have you." And just like that, our Thanksgiving was transformed into something real, raw, and genuinely meaningful. The house fell silent when we walked in, a collective breath held in suspended judgment. My mother-in-law's eyes darted like razor-sharp reconnaissance, scanning every inch of George, from his worn shoes to his slightly trembling hands. Her lips pursed into a thin line of disapproval. "This is George," I said as a small smile bloomed on his face. "He's here to celebrate Thanksgiving with us." For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Then Ryan stepped forward, his movements gentle and purposeful, helping George out of his coat with a tenderness that spoke volumes. "Here, let me help you," Ryan murmured, draping the coat carefully over a chair. My dad, bless him, broke the silence. He cleared his throat and pulled out an extra chair. "Sit down, George. You must be hungry." My uncle, never one for subtlety, approached with a plate. "Let's get you some food, buddy," he said, piling the plate high with turkey, mashed potatoes, and all the trimmings. "You look like you could use a good meal." George's initial hesitation melted visibly. "Thank you," he said softly, his eyes brimming with tears. The room gradually warmed up, not just from the fireplace's heat, but also from something more profound. Laughter began to bubble up, and conversation flowed more naturally. George, initially rigid, started to relax. He swapped stories with my dad, his storytelling skills emerging unexpectedly. "I used to work in construction," George shared, a glimmer of his past life sparkling in his eyes. "Back in '82, we were building the downtown bridge." My cousin, mid-drink, suddenly burst out laughing at one of George's jokes, nearly spitting out his beverage. The room erupted in genuine, unrestrained laughter. I caught Ryan's eye across the room. He gave me a small, knowing smile, a look that made my chest tighten with a love so deep it almost hurt. At that moment, I understood why I had fallen in love with him all those years ago. By the end of the night, George had transformed. He was no longer the stranger we'd brought home, but someone who felt intrinsically connected to our family. His laughter rang out, genuine and uninhibited, as if he'd been part of our lives forever. As the evening wound down, George approached me, his eyes glistening with an emotion too profound for words. "Thank you. You've given me more than you know." His arms wrapped around us in a hug that spoke of gratitude and healing, a moment more powerful than words could express. Ryan and I walked him to the street, our steps in sync. The night was cold, the air crisp with late autumn's breath, our shadows merging under the streetlight's soft glow. As George disappeared into the shadows, looking smaller yet somehow stronger, I reached for Ryan's hand. Our fingers intertwined, a silent communication of shared understanding. "We did good today, didn't we?" Ryan said softly, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my hand. I nodded, tears pricking at the corners of my eyes. The kind of tears that come from witnessing pure, unconditional human kindness. "Yeah, we really did." The night embraced us, a quiet token to the unexpected magic of compassion. Write in the comments what would you have done and subscribe to our channel D-Damn Mix.